These are 4 true stories, sent in by real people, about the moment they realized something was very, very wrong. Stay until the end because story 4 is the one people say they can't stop thinking about. Story 1, The Babysitter. I was 15 years old and this was my very first solo babysitting job. The family lived 2 streets over from mine, a normal looking house, nothing unusual about it from the outside. The parents left around 6 for a dinner and a movie, said they'd be back by 11. Their daughter Ivy was 6 years old, sweet, a little quiet, but easy to watch. We had dinner, watched a couple of shows, and I put her to bed around 8:30 like her parents asked. Around 9 o'clock I heard footsteps on the stairs. I figured Ivy needed water or wanted one more bedtime story. Instead, she walked into the living room looking pale, wringing her hands together the way kids do when they're nervous. She asked me, very seriously, if the other babysitter was going to be okay. I told her I was the only babysitter here tonight. There was no one else in the house. She looked at me like I was the one being strange. She said, and I remember this word for word, "No, the one in the mirror. She's been crying since you got here. She keeps asking for someone to let her out." I laughed it off, told her it was probably just a dream, and walked her back up to bed. But something about the way she said it stuck with me. Kids don't usually invent that specific of a detail, crying since you got here. Not before, since I arrived. I checked every mirror in the house before I sat back down. The bathroom mirror, the hallway mirror, even the small decorative one in the entryway. Nothing, just my own reflection, looking a little more unsettled than I wanted to admit. About 20 minutes later, I heard glass shatter upstairs. I ran up and found the bathroom mirror completely cracked, a spiderweb pattern radiating from the center. No one was near it. Ivy was asleep in her room, door closed, exactly where I'd left her. I called her parents and told them I felt sick and needed them to come home early. They did. I never babysat there again, and to this day I don't look directly into unfamiliar mirrors for more than a few seconds. Story 2, The Rideshare. I've driven for a rideshare app on weekends for almost 2 years now, mostly late night shifts because the pay is better. Most nights are completely unremarkable. People going home from bars, airport runs, the occasional overly chatty passenger. This particular night was different from the start. I got a ride request for a pickup on a stretch of road I knew well, mostly farmland, no houses for at least a mile in either direction. It struck me as strange immediately, but rideshare pickups happen in odd places sometimes, so I didn't think too hard about it. When I pulled up, there was a woman standing perfectly still on the shoulder of the road, no car nearby, no bag, nothing, just standing there in the dark, watching my headlights approach. She got in without a word. I said hello, confirmed her name matched the app, and she nodded but didn't speak. She gave me an address in a flat, quiet voice, and then stayed completely silent for the rest of the ride. Normally I'd try a bit of small talk, but something about her presence made me not want to. The drive took about 15 minutes. When we arrived at the address, I turned around in my seat to tell her the fare and thank her for riding with us. The back seat was empty. I want to be clear about something. My car doors lock automatically the moment we start moving, and they only unlock again when the car is fully stopped and put in park. There is no way she could have opened that door, gotten out, and closed it again silently without me noticing while I was driving. I checked the app. The ride was still marked as active. I ended it manually, hands shaking, and sat there in my car outside that address for almost 10 minutes before I could make myself drive away. The next morning, still unsettled, I looked up the address she'd given me. It was a cemetery. Not a house near a cemetery. The cemetery itself, the address of its main gate. I don't take pickups on that stretch of road anymore, and I don't drive rideshare after midnight, not since that night. Story 3, The Attic. My husband and I bought an old farmhouse a little over a year ago, out in a rural area, plenty of land, exactly what we'd been looking for. The home inspection came back completely clean. Good bones, solid foundation, roof recently redone by the previous owners. Nothing to suggest anything was wrong. About a month after moving in, I started hearing footsteps in the attic at night. Slow, deliberate steps, directly above our bedroom ceiling. Not the skittering of an animal, not the settling sounds an old house makes. Footsteps, evenly paced, back and forth. My husband went up multiple times with a flashlight to check. Nothing up there but insulation, some old boxes left behind by the previous family, and a lot of dust. No signs of animals, no droppings, no nests, nothing that would explain the sound. One particular night, about 3 weeks into this, the footsteps stopped directly above our bed, and then they just stayed there, not moving. For almost 10 full minutes, we both lay there frozen, staring at the ceiling, listening to nothing but our own breathing. The next morning, exhausted and unwilling to spend another night like that, we decided to properly search the attic, not just walk through it. We pulled up sections of the old flooring, and beneath one board near the center of the space, right above where our bed sits, we found a small hidden compartment. Someone had built it deliberately, framed out with wood, not part of the original construction. Inside it was a single small child's shoe, worn and faded with age, and a folded piece of paper, handwritten, the ink faded but still legible. The note said, "I'm still here, please don't leave." We had the house's history researched. There was a family who lived there decades ago with a young daughter. Local records show she died young, though the cause listed is vague, something about illness. We haven't been able to find out who wrote that note, or when it was hidden there, or why. The footsteps still happen sometimes. We've just learned to leave a small light on in the hallway now. Story 4. The phone call. I work night shifts at the front desk of a mid-sized hotel, the kind with about 150 rooms, mostly business travelers and the occasional family passing through. It's usually quiet work, checking people in late, handling the odd complaint about ice machines. One night around 2 in the morning, the front desk phone rang. The caller ID showed it was coming from room 214, an internal call. I answered normally and said the standard greeting. A voice, a woman's voice, very calm, almost eerily so, said, "Someone's in my room with me, please send help," and then the line went dead. I called security immediately and ran upstairs myself, heart pounding the whole way up. We reached room 214 within maybe 90 seconds of that call ending. The room was completely empty. Bed made, no luggage, curtains open, nothing to suggest anyone had ever checked in. I pulled up our reservation system right there in the hallway on my phone. According to every record we had, room 214 hadn't been booked or occupied in 3 days. I went back down to the front desk and checked our phone system logs, thinking maybe the call had actually come from a different extension and the caller ID had glitched. There was no record, no call from room 214, or any room at that time. The system showed nothing between 1:40 and 2:20 that entire night. But I know what I heard, I know what the caller ID displayed, and I know that voice was real, calm, and asking for help. I still don't know whose voice that was, or how it reached my desk phone from a room our system swears was empty and untouched for days. I've worked there for 3 more years since that night. I've never taken a call from room 214 again. But every single shift, I still glance at that extension when the phone rings, just in case. 4 stories. 4 moments where something that shouldn't have happened, happened anyway, to ordinary people doing ordinary things. If something like this has ever happened to you, you're not alone, and you're probably not imagining it. And honestly, maybe it's better if we never find out why.